today you guys are going to work on these stations out here in the hall. On each card, there's a number up here at the top. This one says card number 1. Okay. We're going to start with card number 1. Full disclaimer before we actually do this, I stole this off the internet. I did not write these. So it says that this is a tractor. This is not a tractor. This is a 4-wheeler. It drives me nuts because it's not a tractor. I didn't do that. I'm a farm girl. I know better than that. But anyways, such is the risk when you steal things from the internet. Card 1 says the graph shows the amount of gas a tractor uses given the number of miles traveled. I want you to calculate the slope and explain what it means. So step 1, you're going to do some math. Step 2, when you explain what it means, you're going to write a sentence which has a capital letter and a period, which is why you have a big long box for your explanation on your paper. There are 2 ways to calculate the slope from a graph. The first way is to just count the rise over run. But when you do that method, you especially, need to be careful when you are counting, because you can't just count 2 boxes, 4 boxes, and then call it a day.
You have to pay attention
because,
to the number.
Right, look at the scales here. This goes from 4 to 2, so it does go down 2, but then it goes from 0 to 40. So the run is not 4, the run is 40. So the slope fraction is -2 since it's going down over 40, which then you are going to simplify, which is why you have a calculator. Your other choice is to not count boxes, but just write the points down. This is 0, 4. This point is 40, 2. And then you can subtract your y's on top and your x's on the bottom. Just like you did on your last quiz where you just calculate the slope. And you just do y minus y over x minus x. Either way, you should get the same answer, assuming you do it correctly.
So that's what this box is for?
So the first box is for what is the slope. The first box is for what the slope is. You write down whatever work you have, and then you write what your slope is. This big long box is where you're going to write out your sentence for me.
Okay.
So for the sake of time, I'm going to tell you the answer. Are you ready?
Yes.
Card number 1. If you count off the graph, start over here on the side. I want you to write -2 over 40. That's the fraction you would get if you were just counting boxes off this graph. You would get the same fraction if you were doing it y minus y over x minus x. And then write equals right next to this, because -2 over 40 is equivalent to -0.05. I want all of these answers to come out to be decimals like this. I do not want the fractions here. We're going to interpret them in real life, and all these answers are going to make more sense if they're decimals. When you do your explanation, I need you to explain using the 2 quantities in the problem. On this graph, it tells you the x quantity is miles traveled. It tells you the y quantity is the gallons of gas in your tank. So think about the labels you would have given me in 5.2. You should have said gallons per mile, because it's the y label over the x label. So your explanation also should use y first and then x. Since that's a negative number, the gas is going down, right? Why would the gas be going down as your miles traveled are going up? Think about it.
Because you're using gas.
Because you're traveling. Right, because you're using gas. It's not because it's leaking out of the tank. It's because you're using it.
Yeah.
So when you explain what it means, you say something like the rider or the 4-wheeler is using is a negative word, 0.05 gallons of gas per mile. The 4-wheeler is using 0.05 gallons of gas per mile traveled. Period. Okay, now I want to talk about something that you did just perfectly. You made a mistake for me on purpose. Thanks. You said that it's using negative 0.05 gallons of gas, but using is already a negative word. So when I said this explanation, I didn't say this negative on purpose because I already said the negative in my English.
Okay.
If I had said that something was decreasing or something was going down or someone was spending money, those are all ways to use the negative, so it doesn't need to be in your answer. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Card number 2. We'll do a little faster now that we kind of know what we're doing. Scoot, scoot, scoot. Card number 2. The table shows the amount of water in a pool as it drains. We're going to calculate the slope and explain what it means. So here's X and here's Y. The time in hours, and then the water, which is measured in gallons. To find the slope of a table, still have to do y minus y over x minus x. You can pick any of these 2 coordinate points you want, it doesn't matter. This is a y minus a y over an x minus an x. So why don't you write that down on your paper for me so we can see what that looks like. 46.4 minus 51.2 over 4 minus 2. We needed an answer for that. It would be really handy as if I knew that one off the top of my head. I don't.
Calculator.
That is 4.8 over 2. It's negative 2.4. I'm pretty sure I just calculated that correctly, but I don't bet my children's lives on it. That's how that slope comes out. It's negative, because remember that the amount of water is draining. So the amount of water is going down. That's why it's negative. So when you write your explanation, if you say something like the water is draining, that's a negative word, and you don't need the negative with the number. The water is draining 2.4 gallons per hour. Everybody's sentences here, everybody's explanations are going to look a little bit different because everybody's just explaining it in their own words. But make sure in whatever problem you're doing that you use both of these units. You use the Y unit and the X unit, and capital letters and periods.
Like a sentence.
Like a sentence, exactly. The directions on your assignment are to do 10 of the 20 stations. There are 20 stations taped out here in the hallway. I do not need you to do all of them. You already have 2 done. Congratulations.
Yay.
You don't have to do 3 through 10 either. You can walk around and pick stations that you like. I don't care. I need to have 10 of them done.
Okay.
And let me know when you get done.